The photograph was a silent confession, a truth hidden in plain sight. The Miller family, their identities slowly bleeding away, replaced by the hollow emptiness of the uninvited guest. Elias Thorne was no longer hiding. For Sarah, the illusion shattered along with the glass. The charming stranger was a predator, and their home was his hunting ground. The storm outside had passed, but the nightmare within had only just begun. He stood at the end of the hall, a monument to their misplaced trust. The mask of humanity had slipped entirely, revealing an entity older and colder than the storm that brought him. David, anchored to reason, struggled to comprehend the impossible. He saw the broken glass, the fear in his wife's eyes, but his mind fought against the terrifying reality standing in their hallway. Logic dictated a simple solution: ask the guest to leave. But the house itself had turned against them. The doors, once a gateway to the world, were now the bars of a cage. Elias watched with cold amusement. Their panic was a delicacy he savored. With a mere gesture, he sealed their fate, turning their sanctuary into a tomb of reflections. While the parents fought a losing battle against the house, the true target remained blissfully unaware. Lily, enchanted by the silver tray, was playing a dangerous game with an opponent she couldn't see. The reflection was no longer a mirror of reality. It had gained a life of its own, a stolen fragment of identity, manipulated by the mirror man to draw the child deeper into his way. Maternal instinct pierced through the terror. Sarah knew the true prize Elias sought. She raced against time, the very architecture of the house seeming to stretch and distort to slow her down. The door to her daughter's room was a barrier of unnatural cold. The mirror man's influence was spreading, freezing the warmth of their home, isolating them one by one. With a surge of desperate strength, the barrier broke, but what she found inside was a scene that would forever haunt her nightmares. The room was empty, a silent void where her daughter should have been. The silver tray, a discarded lure, lay on the floor, a mocking testament to her.
But the room was not entirely empty. The large mirror on the wall, usually a mundane object, was now a gateway. Its surface rippled, a liquid portal to a world of stolen identities. Trapped within the silvered glass, a prisoner of her own reflection, Lily, lost in a labyrinth of distorted reality, her silent cries echoing only in the cold, empty space of the mirror world. A mother's despair, separated by an impenetrable barrier of glass and dark magic. The mirror man had taken his prize, pulling her into a realm where logic and love held no power. The architect of their nightmare revealed himself within his domain, Elias Thorne, the master of reflections, claiming his victory, his gaze a cold promise of eternal captivity. David arrived, armed with iron and a shattered reality. The impossible was now undeniable. The fight was no longer against a storm, but against an ancient, consuming darkness. Driven by rage and desperation, David struck, a primal attempt to break the spell, to shatter the prison that held his daughter. But the mirror man's realm was not so easily breached. The glass held firm, harder than diamond, absorbing the blow. The mirror was not just an object, it was a living extension of Elias himself, and it struck back with a force born of stolen souls. The house itself screamed in response. The mirror man's power was absolute, woven into the very fabric of their home. Every reflection was a weapon, every shadow a threat. They were surrounded, a panopticon of terror. Elias was everywhere, watching from a dozen different angles, a fractured nightmare multiplying their despair. The boundaries of reality blurred. The walls whispered with the voices of those he had consumed before. The house was no longer a shelter. It was the belly of the beast. The barrier between worlds dissolved. The mirror man,
hungry for more than just reflections, stepped into their reality. The hunt was entering its final deadly phase. He stood before them, a monument of stolen identities. The charming guest was gone, replaced by an entity of pure consuming void. There was nowhere left to run. The Mirror Man had claimed his domain. The Millers were trapped in a house of shattered reflections, facing an enemy who wore their own faces. To be continued.